Hello, hello, hello. Happy Thursday. Welcome to the temple. I am your high priestess, Erin Sunniva McHugh, here to share heart-based wisdom within the temple. As we enter this space, I welcome the presence of our higher selves. I welcome the presence of the highest consciousness into this space, highest love, highest compassion. And I ask for the divine to hold us today. I welcome the benevolent teachers, especially today, Mary Magdalene, and the weavers of the divine plan into this space to support the expansion and the sharing of spiritual experience and education. This is the place where we witness the work that we talk about. Let's just get to the juice. We come together in prayer and alignment, and I have my spiel that I kind of don't feel like finishing today because I just want to get right to it. Hello, Lori, welcome. So thank you for being here. Thank you for watching the replay. I don't do really much of any marketing for this podcast. I just do it. I create this space for my heart to express itself, and I'm so appreciative of those of you who are here to receive it at any point. So, interestingly enough, I also don't really plan too far ahead with my podcast because I really want to be authentic. I really want to be in the moment. And I witness that when I really allow myself to fully be in the moment and not plan, that really powerful things happen for me, at least in my own experience. And what happened today was that I was thinking, well, you know what, maybe it would be a good idea to talk about Aurora Borealis. It would be a good idea for us to talk about, conspiracies. Excuse me. And so as I was preparing for this moment, I realized, you know what? That's not what the temple is for, right? We're here, yes, we're here to reveal things, right? Like we're here to bust through illusion. But ultimately, what we are here for is remembrance. What we are here for is remembering ourselves. And excuse me, I'm just trying to share this on my own personal page. So what happened was that I was looking at my phone and I was looking at information to share with you about the skies and, what's happening in the skies. And I was actually on YouTube. And I was listening to someone and I follow someone who is really paying attention, and I was listening to her, and right underneath that video, wouldn't you know it, there was a video about Mary Magdalene. And I was like, oh, yeah? This was literally like 5 minutes ago. More than that, obviously, because it's been a few minutes, but 10 minutes ago. And I was like, oh, Mary. And so then I went to count how many episodes I have had so far. And which episode is this one? Number 22. So, Mary, it's her number. Her feast day is on July 22nd. Hers is the second master number in our numerology. And I have no choice but to follow her guidance because I am she. She is I, right? We are one. And you might be as well. You might be on your own personal journey of unfoldment, of remembering who you are, having past life flashbacks, right? Things like this. And I would love to share how Mary has affected me, changed me, shaped me, and brought me into whole realms that I could never have anticipated. So sit down, buckle up. And oh gosh, can we open with a song for Mary? Well, what I'll just do is sing the chorus of one of my songs that mentions Mary. This is hymn, but just to come into the presence of our hearts, I invite you to breathe into your heart. Find that 0 point center of your being. Breathe into that space. And we welcome the witness, the presence of the sacred cosmic blue flame, the blue flame of Sophia that resides here. And I invite you to breathe into it. Let that flame get bigger. You know, when you breathe on the fire, you build it, right? So breathe on that fire. Good. Build it up. Feel that presence. Oh, Santa Magdalena, sing your song. I give praise to you all day and all night long. Oh, Santa Magdalena, sing your song. I give praise to you all day and all night long. Hail Mary Magdalena, Mistress of peace and of passion. I honor your clarity and your courage. I honor your healing power. I honor your devotion to the divine light. Holy Mary, lover of God and of Goddess, protect me from all that is misaligned without. Cleanse me of all that is misaligned within. Keep my feet on the path of pure goodness and keep my heart turned towards the one. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you, Mary. Gosh. Where do we begin? I would like to begin with a very particular memory that I have. In 2008. I had begun participating. In 2008, I became a member of Plant Medicine Church. And being a member of that church, you go to the ceremonies twice a month. And this is not like ayahuasca, right? Like this is like much more mellow, where everyone, is singing. The lights are on. It's called Santo Daime. Maybe you've heard of it. And so in that group, Eliza, welcome. Donna, so glad that you're here. In this space, we also had women's work. Sometimes they would have men's work and sometimes we would have women's works. And so there were often, circles that would just be for the women. So I went to an event one day. It wasn't a ceremony. I honestly had no idea what to expect, but the women of the church were all invited. And I was a part of a small group who received an initiation into the Sisterhood of the Rose. And it was conducted by a woman that her body had received a walk-in. What if you're not familiar with a walk-in? Her soul had made an agreement with this other soul that the second soul would come in to do some work for some time and then leave. And that's exactly what happened. So this woman, for several years, and she was an academic, she worked at a university for many years, and had her own, opening and this experience where the walk-in came in and said, I'm going to be doing this work through you. And a huge piece of this work was activating women and initiating them into the Sisterhood of the Rose. So what is the Sisterhood of the Rose? The Sisterhood of the Rose is an ancient lineage. It is pre-earth, okay? So when we connect to Sophia, when we connect to the Divine Mother, we are connecting essentially to a lineage that is beyond ancient, right? If we can even fathom the expanse of creation and how long, how far, how wide we've been participating in it. Before Earth was created, before the collision of Tiamat and Marduk, right? Malduk, excuse me. And so I think Marduk is a dog. It's a comic strip. So hello, Anita. Welcome. So there are some of us who came, and I see Eliza, there are some of us who came to this place to be creator beings, to participate in the seeding of this planet, carrying this frequency, carrying this medicine of the lineage of the rose. And the Sisterhood of the Rose, I've been informed, comes from the Hyades constellation, which is the snake, right? Hyades, not Hades, Hyades. So, and that I learned from my sister who does galactic astrology, which I recommend to everybody. And if you want to have your galactic astrology read, reach out to me and I'll connect you to my sister Zoe, who's amazing. And so in learning my galactic astrology, and she sourced me in this far off constellation, I felt like these pieces coming together and be like, oh, it wasn't just that one time, almost 20 years ago when this lady was like, here, you can have this signature, this frequency in your being, in your codex, right? I had already been carrying it, but that experience activated it. So from that place, I started to learn about Mary, who she was, and I read novels, right? I read the trilogy by Elizabeth Cunningham. That was my kind of initiation into, oh, there's actually a different story about Mary. She's not a sovereign sinner, right? She's not a penitent prostitute. What is she then? Oh, she's a powerful healer. So when we start to allow ourselves to get to know Mary, whether that is guided by someone through a novel or through through a highly researched book like Mary Magdalene Revealed, the Passion of Mary Magdalene was my initiator into this realm of other stories are possible here. And the most famous book, I think, novel about her is The Expected One by Kathleen McGowan. She's the most famous author, I think, who's written about Mary. Kind of through her own perspective of her own journey of self-discovery. And part of the process that happens in this, feminine revival and the remembering of who you are, when you connect to Mary, you might notice, you might notice that you feel like Mary. Like you feel like you have her memories, or you feel like, why do I remember walking with Christ? Why do I remember being at the foot of the cross? Why do I have these memories that are just showing up out of nowhere? I'll tell you why. Because, oh, I love it. Yes, get cozy by the fire with all the Magdalene books. Well, I will tell you what the best one is in a second. So in the unfolding, there's this process that we go through carrying these signatures of Mary. She has, and this is in a very layman's term, esoteric and not unscientific, totally unscientific. She has shared her soul with us. She has spread out her frequency, her signature, and maybe even, her DNA, right? There are bloodlines that exist from her, right? So if you can think of, like, just yesterday, my husband and I were doing the math of, okay, if on my mother's side they came here in the Mayflower, that means that over the last 400 years, I have 16,000 ancestors, okay? From that one ancestor, William Booth, if you know who he is. Yeah, that's my ancestor. So imagine 2,000 years back and the sacred bloodline of Yeshua and Mary existing, offspring existing, and here we are, how much later, how much of us might be in that bloodline. So consider that kind of information coming forward, right? So I had to go in my process, and it was she who explained it to me when I prayed to Mary and said, why am I having your memories? Why do I feel like I'm looking through your eyes? And she said, because we're connected, because you are of this lineage, we are of the same soul monad, right? So, and this is in a very large, expansive essence when I say soul monad, right? So we have smaller monads, smaller soul groups, hi family, right? So what I have noticed is that there's a process that women go through in their awakening to Mary, where they might believe that they are Mary, that they're a reincarnation of Mary. And I do not believe that she's reincarnating. I feel like she is holding court, right, as a divine guide and friend, in the same way that Yeshua does, right? That we can call upon her and be really present and connected with her. The best novel to date that far surpasses, and very different from Kathleen McGowan's style, is by Sophie Strand, The Madonna Secret. I read it last winter. I had it on pre-order. I couldn't wait. I knew it was coming. She's a phenomenal, woman. And she's the daughter of the couple who wrote The Way of the Rose. And she lives in Woodstock. I feel like connected to this woman, though I never met her, or, but first time I was pregnant, we lived in Woodstock, had our baby when we lived there. So I feel this like, whoa, this kind of like, oh, this lady, Sophie Strand, and this book, I have to read it. I openly wept. Maybe I've cried reading a book like once or twice, but just like continued reading it, sobbing reading this, because of the beauty, because of the power, right? And just her writing is just incredible. And the ending. It is the most phenomenal ending of a book I've ever read. Ever. The Madonna Secret should be on the top of the list, Eliza. Sophie Strand. And she has other books. Highly recommend her. And I know that she's working on one right now. And she also has some autoimmune disorders. So life is challenging for this woman. And we want to support her so that she can really, really keep writing, being a beautiful channel. So then I continue to just, learn about Mary, read these books, take her into my being, and begin to recognize, like, oh, okay, those memories she shares with us. It's part of our awakening to recognize our relationship with Christ, but not the symbol, not the church Jesus, but with the man, with the beloved. And so my journey with Mary was actually about embodying the beloved. I was on a search for my true partner, right? When I first met Mary, I was in relationship with the man that fathered my first child. And that was a challenging relationship, right? And I did not know about the beloved. I did not know about this just the alignment of beloved souls. And so on that journey with her, and especially reading The Passion of Mary Magdalene, I felt for the first time, this is what love is supposed to feel like. This is what true remembrance is. This is where magic resides, in the hieros gamos, right? Like in the soul union. This is what I'm aiming for, and this is what I want. And as that relationship fell apart, and then I was a single mother for 6 years. And on that journey, I had to learn, and this was truly like my medicine of that time, that Mary was feeding me in her relationship with Yeshua. I am my beloved, and my beloved is me. I am my beloved, and my beloved is me. The beloved experience already resides within me. I have Yeshua, my divine masculine. I have Mary, my divine feminine. And the marriage of me being whole within myself is how I resonate and call forward my true partner, which happened, right? It took time, but it happened. So, interesting, Eliza. Well, you pay attention to what you're magnetized to. Maybe there's something else that you're supposed to read before that. Maybe that magnetization will shift, or maybe there's something in there that's not meant for you. It's definitely, it's completely different. Every book is always in this first person. All of the books about Mary are in this first person, whether it's in Mary's first person, right? Or being, a modern day woman remembering, like Kathleen McGowan, going through this, journey. But the Madonna Secret is just, it turns all of the narrations, it just pushes them all out, and it feels like you are truly with her in her present day, in her experience as the daughter of a merchant, very well taken care of, well-to-do, and those relationships with the men in her life, and her struggle of being really true to herself. And I think that there's also, this, what I struggle with, the piece that's missing, right? And there's some of this in there. The Passion of Mary Magdalene really actually shows her druidic medicine, because that's part of the story, or the channel that Elizabeth Cunningham brought forward. That she was, a very special Irish woman named Maeve. So this story with the Madonna Secret is a really different way. What I'm really excited for is when someone, and this is in the Passion, but when someone can write a novel and be so more honest about her powers and her abilities and her true relationship with Christ, not just as like, okay, we're actually correcting she was his wife, they had a child, some say 3. I don't know about that, but the Jesus or the Jesus of the church, right, and the story of Jesus is so wrong and so incorrect that, and maybe it has to be written by someone who's never read the Bible, because that's where the corruption is, right? That's the fucking lie. It's like, how are we ever to truly know Christ consciousness, and the man who was the fully embodied avatar, if we are constantly reading other men's words? I am a priestess of experience. And even like the way that I teach you through experience, and Eliza as well. I'm remembering the Christ tree when I said, tell me about the Christ tree. And you said, okay. And then I was like, oh, I get it. Oh, I love you. So, excuse me. Yeshua, Christ consciousness, has to be experienced. Divine feminine Christ consciousness has to be experienced. We can talk about it. We can tell the story. We can rewrite her story. We can help everybody to shift their perspective that this woman was a bad woman to begin with, and that, Yeshua just took her in and fixed her. It's totally wrong. Totally fucking wrong. Incorrect. So my desire is not necessarily to be the one to say y'all are wrong, but to just be focused on connecting the truth to individuals through the direct experience of she, right? Through the direct experience within sacred container, within the invocation, within the flame, right? So this is how we can remember the truth for ourselves. We don't actually need interpretations. I mean, it's so beautiful to kind of break the spell, to read novels about a woman that has been so mal-envisioned, right? And portrayed in such a horrible, horrible way that was so not true. Blasphemy. So, beautiful. That's very, very beautiful. Yeah. So, I, as a Magdalene priestess, desire for the truth of who the Marys are to come forward. The truth of the priestesses of Isis, the priestesses of the Netters and the queens of Kemet, right? So I'm gonna drop some mysteries in here. Some of the information, so when women do the Magdalene mentorship with me, there's medicine, there's information that's delivered that is not written down, right? That is only shared through oral traditions, because we have a lineage of light that bears the truth. And that truth creates okay. So the truth, when we receive it and we can feel the truth in our bodies, it creates new neural synapses. And every time, and this is not just the truth about Mary, I'm just talking about truth in general. When you receive information, especially orally, especially from another human, and you hear it, right? You feel it in your body and you receive it, there are things that happen, right? Resonance frequencies that disrupt discordance, right? And initially you might, for a split second have to move through some cognitive dissonance to be like, but I've always been told, right? And then you come into this, and maybe you get the chills, right? You get the shivers, and you're like, oh, my body is telling me that this is true, right? These are the moments when you feel information come into your system and you can feel, you can recognize truth. This is where we grow. This is where we actually literally activate new lines of connection, new ways of seeing the world, new ways of believing, new ways of manifesting, new ways of creating, new ways of health and wisdom within our bodies. The Marys, it is a title, okay? Even so, Mother Mary, her name was Miriam. Yeah. Mary Magdalene, her name was also Miriam. She was from a place called Magdala, right? Magdala means the tower, right? So she was a woman of Magdala. That's where Magdalena comes from, okay? So, but what is the tower? What does the tower represent? Height, growth, wisdom. And this is not the tower card, my friends. This is the tower of wisdom, the tower of the pillar of strength that she is. Let's also connect just briefly to the etymology of the amygdala. Okay? And that source power resides in your tower, where we are constantly being hijacked into fight or flight, fawn or freeze, where the amygdala is actually a power organ, right, in our brain that connects all the way down to the cervix, connects all the way down energetically to your sacred self, right? To your genitalia, and especially to your anus, and to your source of shame. Okay? So in this in the presence of the purpose of the tower within you, the presence of the potency that lies in your amygdala, like how easily you can be controlled when you're dysregulated, when you are challenged, when you are in fear, right? How you protect yourself. If you can have a relationship with your internal tower, your place of power, where she resides, you actually bring yourself into a more sovereign place with your sexuality. I know this is like, I'm kind of like taking a little tiny piece and just going, so we know that there's a connection, obviously regulation and the vagal nerve and everything. And the vagal nerve starts right around the same place, connected to the amygdala. And where, for women, does the vagal nerve end? At the cervix. Okay? So all of these pieces of your connection to yourself, your personal power, the beloved within, and the sacred rose, they all go together. Okay? So when we bring in the rose and the alchemy of the rose and the rose lineage, the rose codex, however you want to refer to this, we are bringing in the purity of being, the highest vibration. The rose has the highest vibration of, I'm pretty sure, all plants on the planet. And so with this invocation of the rose and placing the alchemical rose in the locations of your body or your etheric body where you need help. And maybe it's in your amygdala. Maybe you have anxiety. Maybe you get dysregulated so easily. Maybe you need to place it in your womb. Maybe you need to place it in your liver. Maybe you need to place it in your spine. The rose is here to help you come back into alignment energetically, to purify that location where you place it, so that you can come back to your true essence. That's what the rose does. And when you are initiated into the sisterhood of the rose, you are able to use the rose like Reiki, literally, So you can send roses out of your palms, out of your eyes. You can send roses out of your heart. You can, support people energetically, doing energy healing with the roses, or just visualizing roses in your being and other people's being, encompassing your children, protecting them, all of the things. The rose is here. The rose is here. Do I have any roses? The one rose that I have is burnt down to a nub on my little smudge stick. Do I have any? I don't have fresh roses. I just have the last of my purple flowers from the garden. So when we really listen to that softness, and I love that, Patrine, that you feel that loving comfort, because that's really what she is. She feels like, your best girlfriend and the ever wise mother, that never leaves, that's always present, always supportive. And when I went to France this last time, and I sang in the Magdalene temple at Rennes-le-Château, and I sang the Cathar hymn without the words, just the tune, the ancestors of the land came rushing in. And Mary was there, larger than life, like she was the sunset, and her mantle just covered the valley, and all of these ancestors were there, and they recognized me. I had called them with the chant, and they came and they were kissing me, and I'm like, I'm still singing, sobbing and singing. And, and I completed this song and just sob. And Mary there, just like this over the whole valley, and saying, yes, keep bringing the women. Thank you for bringing the women. Keep bringing the women. And then, blessing me. And when I am in the lap of Mary, when I am in that place of dedication to the path of love, dedication to the internal posture of presence, and holding space for other women in their remembering of themselves while I continue to remember more and more of myself, right? It makes me emotional, because that's where I feel like I am fully living purpose. When I am journeying with others and holding that compassionate space, an open space for development, and bringing these, mysteries forward, mysteries that have been delivered to me through the flame, either by individuals or by the flame itself, that it really is soul purpose on fire. I mean, that's where my dragon was able to land and come forward, because I was in the land of the dragons, and in the land of Mary and her dragon body, right? And also seeing her dragon body while we were there, I saw It was just phenomenal. So with all of this, we have this really potent opportunity, responsibility to continue to let her medicine come in, right? And to invite her in further. What is it that I am not hearing? What is it that I have yet to know that is really vital for my next steps in my path? And some of that is dismantling, when many talk about decolonizing yourself. And there is a profound need for decolonizing spirit, decolonizing spirituality. So, what did her dragon body look like? I mean, rose gold. Kind of hard to explain because it was almost like she was made of flame at the same time. I could see the body. But, there was gold, there was, kind of like that, like her colors, the burgundy, the color of her mantle, and purest white light, like coming out just, so it was like golden red fire with white light, just, right? So, but also the form of a dragon. I just remember the belly. Honestly, I remember the belly. So sweet. I love dragons so much. So we are, in this place where we can continue to invite her in, right? So Sister Petrine, like, she has this experience of like, wow, I'm feeling this loving, comforting feeling. Yes, that's so good, so beautiful. And, her essence. And what next, right? What's next? So continue to allow her to show you who she is and what she does and what she's here for and what she's here for with you. Walking the Magdalene path, Petrine, walking the Magdalene path, we are, it is referred to, this is how I talk about it, it's referred to as the path of love. That's what it is. And so I have the shirt by Amanda Stevens that says, "What would love do?" that we kind of created together. Well, she said, "I have an idea for a shirt." I was like, "I've had that idea forever. Do it." So it's kind of both of us, but she did it. So what would love do? That's the question. It's not what would Jesus do, because that's what would the church do, right? Like, what would love do? What would love do in the most challenging moment? I'm thinking of like trying to get my freaking teenage daughter out the door at school on time today. Impossible, right? And so me just being like, I need you to respect yourself more to get to school on time. Like, it's about self-respect when you get to school on time. Right? And so after I dropped her off and I'm like reflecting, I'm like, did I say the right things? Was I loving? Was I compassionate? Or was I laying down the mother law? Right? So it's important for us to be reflective of ourselves, to, part of the awakening process. I would say one of the very first things that happens for anyone in their awakening is having to look at themselves, and you might not like what you see. I mean, of course, the energy is like, change your, watch your self-deprecation and change your negative language. Really fundamentally, are you loving? Is love the base of your movement? Right? Is it the foundation of who you are? And if it's not, then why not? And what's in the way? what needs healing, so that love can be prevalent, so that love can be the precursor to everything that you do. So it's a journey, right? We have to learn to love ourselves first in order for us to actually walk the path of love. How do we know what the path of love is if we're not loving ourselves, right? So starting with compassion for yourself, starting with the way that you talk to yourself. And if you call yourself a nincompoop, stop doing that, right? And what is it that drives you to be negative with yourself? Maybe that comes from a pattern that was created for you, not by you, right? By your parents or your peers. And there's this, this prevalence of, of course, I'm the mother of a 15-year-old girl. And so she puts on so much makeup. And it takes her over an hour to do her makeup. And I'm like, this is why you're late to school, because you take so long putting on your makeup, because you feel insecure at school having a natural face, because nobody has a natural face anymore, because you all are taught to be superficial and look in a certain, it didn't start with her, right? How long has this been going on, right? The pressures of society to look a certain way, act a certain way, be a certain way, especially for a woman. And so the excavating of these narratives in our beings, this might be the most painful thing that you've experienced so far in your personal healing journey on working on yourself. Not saying that it's the most painful thing so far that you've experienced, but it's the last thing you want to do is look at how society has shaped the way that you think and talk about yourself. Yuck, right? So that journey towards self-love and self-care is the journey of love. It's returning to the path of love, and it starts with you, right? So as you do this, as you walk this path, and you remember the divine feminine within you, whether that's via Mary or the Marys, right? Or, a different energy. Maybe it's Gaia. Maybe it's some other avenue that is non-religious and non-spiritual, but just that love helps you. Love takes over, right? I believe that it is helpful to have relationship with divine beings. I think that people who rely on divine beings are also disempowering themselves, right? So you and your connection to your higher self is the most important thing. Ultimate, right? You being connected to your higher consciousness, your higher vibrational consciousness that is connected to all that is. When you have a daily relationship with your divinity, then you are developing within yourself synapses, literal brain function that amplifies your connection to spirit, to self. Not kidding. And this is information that came through my dragon almost a year ago, I want to say. It was like, maybe it was in the winter in one of the circles, but I will never forget the visions that I had while she was speaking, talking about the way that you develop psychically and spiritually. All of these ways is that you acknowledge when things happen. If you can acknowledge the presence of divinity in your field, then that awareness of divinity develops within you, and the presence of the divinity stays with you more. because you're like, oh, this is divine energy. Yes, thank you, divine energy. Thank you to divine consciousness. Thank you, divine beings, for helping me. Oh, like you feel this heightening of energy. You feel the lightness, the joy, all of this. When instead of just being like, oh my God, this is amazing, but you're actually like, I acknowledge what is here. I acknowledge this higher frequency. Perhaps this is 5D, right? Perhaps I have entered into a when you acknowledge it, it's actually easier to return to it than when you don't. And, a lot of people, turn to plant medicine for that exact purpose of connecting to that divine heightened frequency. But the point is not to, take plant medicine all the time. The point is for you to hold that without the support of the plant medicine. And this is why I actually stopped drinking grandmother ayahuasca, because she's like, okay, you've been with me for quite some time. Now it's time for you to go practice the things that you've learned and do the work that you do with me. Do it without me, right? So, and honestly, I'm not doing any work without her because she's with me, right? Infinitely, forever. She's still in my blood, still in my cells. And at the same time, I have been given a gift where I was like a member of a church and doing ceremonies all the time, starting in 2006. And even my child was involved and all of these things. This was my life. Medicine was my life, right? And then it came to a point where she's like, we're good for now, right? And I was like, we're good for now, And she was literally telling me, you've learned so much. You've learned so much about quantum healing, right? Channeling, mediumship, controlling containers, healing inside and outside of containers, activating other people's energy fields in order to help them heal. So we help facilitate their healing, right? Being a channel of song, catching songs with and without medicine help, right? All of these things. Then I learned how to center myself when I'm like faced with really scary experiences. All of these things. She said, okay, now you have learned, and now I need you to go and do this without the medicine. And so I'm high-fiving you back, Patrine. I love that so much. So you can put the high-five emoji and I will high-five you. So that's what my journey has been. I've been teaching. I'm entering into my 9th year of teaching the Magdalene mentorship, which starts in February. And Patrine, we need to talk about this. I'm like, oh no, we need to talk about this. So we're starting after Imbolc. That has been the guidance and the direction. The timing is always based on her. I ask for her to tell me when to do the thing, and I listen to her, and everything works out great. So I actually have women who do the mentorship outside of the group that, for different reasons. I have one right now because she's already done a lot of priestess training. And so I'm not going to put her into my foundational priestess training course because she's already done a lot of that, right? So I'm helping her where she is, take her work, herself to the next level. And so you can do bespoke mentorship with me, and you can also do the Magdalene mentorship as it is with its 12 modules. And we're going for 20 weeks this time. I shaved off a month because it just felt like, so before I was doing 12 weeks, and there's just far too much information to give. And also on top of it, when she just comes in and takes over the lecture. I muscle tested. I used my dowsing rods. Like, what is the best timing for this? And 20 weeks feels perfect. 20 weeks. I can't remember actually what I decided. Well, Patrine, I don't know if you put a high five there, but it's empty. So, yeah. So I'm getting all like flustered and warm because I get so excited talking about teaching because teaching gets me so high. And I get really fired up when I'm teaching. I get really fired up bringing this energy in, bringing women into the container, into her container, into her field and her realm. And with all of the, foundations that are really laid out in the mentorship, it's all just like a jumping, it's a diving board for you to jump off of and skyrocket into your life and your purpose and what you're supposed to do with this information. So let me tell you, actually, I can drop a link for you. But I will just quickly breeze through. There it is. I'm going to breeze through the mentorship really quick since we're here and talking about it. The 12 modules. So the alchemy of the sacred container, learning about the foundations of earth wisdom, earth magic, paganism, basically. How to create a container, invocation, cast a circle, have a relationship with the elements and all of the different aspects of the directions and all of the energies associated with the directions, etc. But especially how to create a container for healing, communication, channeling, whatnot, for ceremony that is safe, that is connected and aligned, right? We have key components that must be met in order for that container to really be held in a good way. The mysteries of the rose, right? We work with the rose and as well as womb magic, feminine, moon blood mysteries, and learning how to use our ethereal wombs in different ways. Of course, I'm going to teach you my SRT. Yes, you are going to receive my process. Oh, thank you, Amelia. Thank you so much. Amelia just completed her mentorship. Congratulations, Priestess. I love you so much. So let me go back to my little website here so I can stay focused. So my SRT was created foundationally by my father, who is a world-renowned hypnotherapist. He wrote his own book on spiritual alchemy, and it's called The New Regression Therapy. So it has past life regression in it, spirit releasement, and spiritual alchemy. And that is one of our main workbooks for the course. But so you learn how I do clearings for myself and for my clients, and how we also kind of hack the process a little bit, as well as the value, the importance of psychic protection and all of the different ways that you can protect yourself psychically, physically, energetically. We learn the Celtic medicine wheel, or excuse me, that is not correct. The Celtic wheel of the year. And so understanding Mama Earth's cycles, right, in accordance to the sun. And so we're not working with the moon, we're working with the sun. And having that solar alignment keeps us in celestial strength, right? When we connect to the sun and the solar holidays, then we can really follow the natural rhythms of life itself. And when we can especially ceremonially be connected to the ways that nature moves and ebbs and flows, then we are more harmonious in ourselves. Of course, I'm going to teach you psychic development, right? I'm a channel and a medium. Like, I'm going to teach you what I do and how I do it. I teach multiple different ways of accessing the Akashic records, because there are different ways, and not just the Akashic records, my friends. We are going beyond the Akashic records into the halls of a mentee, and I am exploring something new because I follow Samuel Lee, and I'm very curious about the CDT plates. If you know anything about the CDT plates, talk to me. It's like new to me, so it's not something I'm going to be teaching on, but it's something I'm going to be exploring at the same time. So as well as light language, so activating your light language, we also do energetic learning, learning how to. And this is in the psychic protection course. We're also learning how to enter other people's fields, not enter other people's fields, let people enter your field, not let people enter your field, as well as other, fun games, I guess. Looking for the word game. Games, psychic games that help us develop our abilities. And so using light language for energetic delivery, right? For tapping into the truth of the moment, removing the mind and just being fully in the heart. That's what light language is for. As well as healing with light language and sound healing. So I have my workshop, Be Your Own Sound Healer, and I bring it in to the mentorship because we all have the ability, the opportunity, the wherewithal to use the instrument of our voice to help ourselves in a lot of ways. And so that is a very comprehensive training, using the voice, understanding what's happening scientifically with a ton of research, that either toning or humming can really do profound things for you and your loved ones. So that's the Magdalene mentorship. So we're going to go from February through June to about the middle of June. And discovered this year that the summer is really hard. And summers are busy, and so it's not best to be trying to have a weekly class through the summer, which is why we're starting in February. And it is a weekly lecture plus 6 one-on-ones with me. And in those one-on-ones, really it's 5, and then the 6th one is your final test with me. But in those sessions, you can do whatever you need. If you are requiring some alchemy, we tend to what comes up, because your stuff comes up for healing in this course, as you would expect it to, because you are refining yourself. You're there for the purpose of growth and learning and healing. And so we're going to grow, we're going to learn, and we're going to heal. So the whole course, you get to have once a month a session with me to tend to what's coming up. And we can also do practices, things like that. And the whole time, Mary is with us. Of course, I haven't even taken one sip of water. So, of course, I have the books that I suggest and recommend, but the Mary Magdalene Revealed, we actually moved through. And so you read it on your own, and then we kind of go in and read those stories and talk about the 7 powers, talk about the path of love, talk about the truth of Mary, the truth of her mysteries. the power of being a priestess of Isis. And we also have Egyptian mysteries that are woven in, medicine of Kemet that is brought in, and I'm continuing to learn and study about the Egyptian mysteries, and I'm really excited to be able to share some of that. So that is the gist of the mentorship, and it's been under her guidance, under her care. I'm just gonna hold this here. the anointing one. She with her alabaster jar. This was given to me by my dear friend Alyssa. And Mary reminds us of the feminine urge to hold, the feminine urge to contain, right? She's represented by the alabaster jar. She is the container herself, right? She is, and I use, she in the capital S sense, that it's not just her, but the divine feminine herself. She is the container. She is the Holy Grail, right? And by being the container, by being the womb, by being the wombed one, she carries with her all of the medicine received. She is not necessarily putting it all out there and making sure that people are correcting themselves and turning themselves towards nature or towards God or towards themselves. No, that's not how she works. She simply holds the space. This is what the divine feminine does. And sometimes she even reclines in order to hold even more space and to bring you into the void, into that place, so that you can learn how to hold the space of love where it's hard to find around you, and to be that conduit, right? Yeah. So Mary is always returning us to our true selves, walking the path of Mary Magdalene, walking the path with Mary Magdalene, quite simply means walking a divine path fully supported by love, fully reminded what love would do, how to soften in the moment, and allow new wisdom to come through. One of the most important things that we can do on the path of love is to admit when we're wrong, where we have misled ourselves and potentially others, and to just have compassion for ourselves in the self-correction, in the realignment. There is no dogma here to say you must be penitent and you must pray a certain prayer this many times in order for you to be forgiven. No. Forgiveness resides within you. Let me say that again. Forgiveness resides within you. So when you decide that when you decide that you have made a bad choice, a wrong turn, and you decide to correct yourself, that is the act of self-respect, compassion, and love. Oh gosh, I did something wrong. Oh gosh, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, okay. I need to apologize. I need to own what I did. And why did I do that? Oh, yeah, that's what my reasoning was. So let me correct myself. That is walking the path of love. And whether or not you are following Mary or Christ or any name or face that humanity has created in order to put a face on the divine, if you are in the place of self-healing and correcting yourself when you recognize that you have misstepped or misspoken, then you are on the path. You're doing it. And hopefully you're doing it with a ton of compassion for yourself, and that you're not, oh, how could I be so stupid? Right? No. Oops, I made a mistake. Ooh, let me correct it. That is the path of love, right? Okay, one more song before we go. I'm going to sing this in dedication. Oh, thank you, Patrine. Sing this in dedication to my sister, Shannon Smith. Shannon Michaela Dori Gavrilia Smith, who introduced me to Mary. And she is a valuable person in my life. She has been for a very long time. And this hymn I received for her. I'm going to sing it for y'all. And I don't have my rattle, so I'll sing it without drum. No drum. Okay. We are twin stars shining in the celestial sea. Traveling through the skies, we shall forever be. We are twin stars shining in the celestial sea. Traveling through the skies, we shall forever be. We came here to this earth to share the divine light with our brothers and our sisters who are engaged in fright. We came here to this earth to share the divine light with our brothers and our sisters who are engaged in fright. We are cleansed by the chalice of our holy sovereign mother, incarnate Magdalene, to help heal all our brothers. We are cleansed by the chalice of our holy sovereign mother, incarnate Magdalene, to help heal all our brothers. We sing of the forest, the flowers, and the trees, giving praise to Jurema. Her breath is in the breeze. We sing of the forest, the flowers, and the trees, giving praise to Jurema. Her voice is in the breeze. We travel on the waves of our mother Yemanja, so that we can heal our bodies in the light of Oshala. We travel on the waves of our mother Yemanja, so that we can heal our bodies in the light of Oshala. We are twin stars shining in the celestial sea. To guide and to be guided, we shall forever be. We are twin stars shining in the celestial sea. To guide and to be guided, we shall forever be. Thank you, Maria Magdalene. Kwasal harrakete dia fokuto yamatai. Alelianta kosho kal harrakete kiamato sot yamakatai. Alarrako solaria makatai. Shosot yamakatai. Allah harrakale diavo soto yamakatai. Alarrakete yamakatai. Soto yahal harrako so yamakatai. Avalaria namakatai. Sia. Blessings, beloved family. Thank you for being here with me. I love you so much. And check out my website for the Magdalene Mentorship. If you are called, please reach out. No one is turned away for lack of funds, payment plans, all of the things. My purpose is to make it available to you in all of the ways that serve everyone's highest good. I love you so much. Thank you for entering into the temple today. To all of the divine beings, especially Divine Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, Mother Isis, and the sacred blue flame of Sophia, we release you. Stay if you will, go if you must. Blessed be. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. And happy birthday to all of my lovely friends who have birthdays today. Phoenix Clay Hollingsworth, I love you so much. And to my dear Paula Linda Ayerna Reed, I love you so much. Love you. Ciao.